Welcome to the Digital Empires podcast. I'm Shruti Pankthi, a digital product entrepreneur and content creator. I went from being a hobby blogger to building a 7-figure business in just 4 years using the power of digital products and content marketing. And I'm here to help you do the same. So let's get started. Welcome. One of the questions I get asked the most is, how quickly can I start making money with my digital product business? And it's a totally fair question, and you have every right to ask this question, especially if you are investing time and energy into a side hustle that you have no idea whether it's going to work or not. I also want to be realistic in this episode because I believe that there's a lot of false marketing gurus out there who are trying to project that, they spent 1 week learning digital marketing and then their whole life changed. And I know that that hook works, but just because it works doesn't mean that it's actually true and honest. So in this episode, I want to give you an honest breakdown of what my journey looked like and what are the key factors that are going to help you make money in, a sustainable way, and also what you need to know before you get started. So before we dive into the key factors that we have to talk about in order to understand how quickly we can make money and how much money we can make, let's talk about my journey. So year one is 2020 for me. That is when I went full time into my digital product business. I started out with selling Pinterest templates, blogging templates, things that I was designing on Canva and promoting them using my very small email list at the time of like 300 people, I believe. And then I graduated to selling more and more different types of products, including ebooks, guides, courses, workshops, like you name it, and I've probably sold it. So year one, I did about $20,000, which is totally not a bad amount. But I have to preface this by saying that I was blogging from 2017 to 2019. So even though I was not making like FU money with my blog, I still wasn't completely new to this industry. I knew how to create content and monetize it. So that's a skill that I already had before I went full time into my digital product business. Year two was 2021 for me, and that year we crossed 6 figures. Year three, I did about 125K. That was 2022. That was the year when I was getting married. I had so much personal things going on that I really didn't focus on growing my business at all because I legit did not have the time. Year four is when my business really exploded 10x. And you can go back and watch the podcast episode where I break down how I went from, 6 figures to 7 figures in my year four. And currently in 2024, I'm in year five. We already crossed $1 million, which is mind blowing to me. And we're probably going to end the year with more than $2 million, which I am super grateful for. But I had to share my year by year journey with you in order for you to understand how that's been a build-up. So I did not just make $1 million in like first week that I started digital marketing. Now, when we talk about what exactly does it take to, understand how much money we're going to make, let's talk about the first key factor here. And I think this is something that not a lot of people understand when they're coming from a 9-to-5 background and they've never really done anything online. And that is that there's a fundamental difference between having a product-based business model and having a service-based business model. And with an online business, these lines can be often blurred because you can choose to be a coach and you can also choose to offer digital products like ebooks, guides, etc. So you can do everything. But that doesn't mean that, there's going to be the same way of perceiving and expecting growth in each of these business models. So when we talk about services, let's take the example of us wanting to start making, let's say, $5,000 a month, right? Which is a realistic number for anyone to get started with. Obviously, depending on where you live, that may or may not go a long way. But let's assume you want to make $5,000 a month with your side hustle. If you are in a service-based business, and let's say you are a web designer, you're a coach, you're a marketer, you could charge your clients, $1,000 per client per month. And you can have 5 clients. So it's all about, quality and not really quantity, and still make $5,000 a month, which is a great amount, right? It's 5 clients, $1,000. The math is easy. Now, when we talk about products, most beginners are going to be selling products that are under $100. And that's also what I recommend my students to start with. Because if you have zero credibility online, if you have never sold something like quote unquote high ticket, it's going to be hard for you to resell that. And this is also why I don't recommend people start reselling $1,000 or $500 things, because without any experience, you're probably not going to have success with it very quickly. So let's take an example which is realistic, which is, let's say you want to launch a $100 product, right? What is the number that you need to have here of sales in order to make the same amount that you would with a service-based business? So if we just multiply $100 with 50 sales, we get the number $5,000, right? So I tried my best to do the math right in this episode because this episode is heavy on facts. There is no BS here. I'm just giving you cold hard facts so you can make the best decision for yourself. So if I do mess up, please forgive me. I tried my best to, double check all the numbers because I wanted to make sure that you were walking away from this with a realistic perspective. So when we talk about the volume here, you can see that whereas in a service sector, you would just need 5 clients who are making, $1,000 each for you, you could make $5,000, fairly quickly. When it comes to selling products, you need to be making at least 50 sales of $100 each in order to make the same amount. Now that we have the business model out of the way, what's the second important key factor? The second key important factor is how good are you at converting your audience? And by conversion here, I mean, how good are you from taking them to someone who doesn't know you, is a complete stranger on the internet, to actually becoming a customer or a client, right? Now, generally speaking, industry standard conversion rate can be anywhere between 1 to 5%. And if you're starting out, I have to make the assumption that you're not going to be great at converting people. So you're probably going to be on the lower end of this, which is going to be 1%. Now, when we do the math here and we again take the same product that we were doing in order to make $5,000 a month, that was a $100 product, we see that we need 50 sales, correct? Now, in order to make 50 sales, how many people actually need to be on your sales page or the page where you're sharing this offer, right? This could be your website, this can be your Stan store, this can be your Shopify store. So if the end goal that we're looking at is 50, then how many page views do we need in order to make $5,000 a month? So I went back to my math days and I said, hey, 1 by 100 into X equals 50. So what is X, right? X is going to be 50 times 100, which is going to be 5,000 page views. Now, 5,000 page views at a person who is just about average at converting people, which is, let's say, 1%, is going to be the segue to actually making $5,000 a month. When you're getting 50,000 page views, you can be making $50,000 a month or more. When you're getting 100,000 page views, you can be getting $100,000 or more. And of course, if you are converting at 2, 3, 4, 5%, you're obviously going to be doubling or tripling these numbers. But at the very bare minimum, if you want to make $5,000 a month and you're selling a $100 product, we're looking at least 5,000 page views. Now, I want to be clear here and let you know that by 5,000 page views, I don't mean 5,000 followers. Followers don't mean a jack shit. Followers can be people who like you, who are interested in your energy, but have no interest whatsoever in buying from you. The only metric that matters here is not how many people saw your content, but who clicked through and actually checked out your product. So the question to ask yourself here is, how quickly can I get 5,000 eyeballs on my product in order to make, $5,000 a month? Because that's just the numbers. Like, I'm not making this shit up, guys. This has been around for years and years and years. It's just too bad that a lot of teachers are not willing to share with you these numbers and this truth, because it benefits them to, for you to not know this. Anyways, so moving to how do we actually figure out how to get these clicks, right? So generally speaking, people who click, on your sales page on the internet, they're going to find you one of the two ways. They're going to either find you through the organic ways of creating content, which is going to be blogging, podcasting, social media, Instagram, and, all of that. Or they're going to find you through an ad, which is a paid method of reaching people, or paid marketing, right? Now, when it comes to paid marketing, let's talk about what that looks like in terms of how much it's going to cost you to get that attention, right? So generally speaking, if you are targeting, countries like US, Canada, Australia, etc., you're going to be paying 50 cents to $1 per click, like minimum. Of course, if you're a great marketer and you've figured out the content, it might be a lot less. So just assuming that we're paying 50 cents for one click to the sales page, that's probably going to be around $2,500 a month to get those 5,000 eyeballs. So that's the investment you're looking at to make in order to start generating this income. And now let's move on to the organic side, which is probably where most of you are, where you are trying to sell through Pinterest or social media like Instagram, etc. Here's where, you create free content, and in exchange for free content, you make sales, right? That's the dream. Now, here again, I wanted to run you through some numbers just to give you really a realistic idea of what it takes to actually succeed. Now, let's assume that you create one reel, which is a short form video. It's like a 5 or a 10-second video that you can create. And let's assume that this reel is getting 1,000 views. Now, again, this is already a very generous assumption. If you have no strategy and if you're creating content blind, most likely you will not be getting 1,000 views. There is a specific way and a specific format of doing that, but I'm going to come back to that. Let's talk about the numbers here. So let's say you have one reel that you're pushing out that's having 1,000 views, and you're having about 5% of the people who saw this reel actually go to your sales page and check it out, which again, like I said, is very, very generous. More likely it's going to be 1 or 2%. But let's assume you're killing it in the marketing game and there's 5% of your reel viewers who are converting into your landing page views, right? What does that look like in terms of numbers? So that's going to be 50 page views per reel, right? Let's jog those muscles and think of, okay, so if I'm getting 50 views to my sales page per reel, how many reels do I need to create in order to actually get 5,000 views, right? Because that is the number we arrived at in order to make $5,000 a month. So that is going to be, 100 reels, because when you multiply 100 by 50, you get 5,000 page views, right? So every reel is netting you 50 views. So 100 reels is going to net you 5,000 page views a month, right? Assuming again that each reel is getting a minimum of 1,000 views. So that turns out to 100 reels per month. When was the last time that you posted 100 reels per month? Right? I want you to ask yourself that before you start complaining about how difficult it is to build a business online or how it's saturated, blah-de-da, all the excuses that you have out there, none of which actually make sense unless you have posted these 100 reels. How quickly can you do that? Is it going to take you 1 month? Is it going to take you 3 months? Is it going to take you 1 year? That is where I will start to think of timelines. If you are going the organic route and you don't have money to invest in paid ads, which I totally understand because I was you, that's what I did for the first few years of running my business. However, one thing that I already knew from my blogging days was that without traffic, my business is dead. It's as good as dead. So I had to find ways to generate traffic, right? And I had to do that consistently because the only way to get data is to get data. There is no feedback that's going to be better than the feedback that you get from your audience. And if you don't have an audience, you need to learn how to build one before you start complaining about why you're not making money already. Okay, moving on to key factor number 3. The key factor number 3 here is going to be your own effort and your strategy. So in key factor 1 and 2, we explored business models and we explored the numbers and the math behind what it really takes to get the volume going in order to make money online. But key factor number 3 is really, really important because depending on where you are putting your effort, that is how quickly you're going to be able to see results. So you can work really hard, you can post 10 times a day, but if every reel is getting 1 page view, right? Just imagine how long it's going to take for you to actually get the numbers going in order to make a sustainable income from your side hustle. So even if you have the best work ethic, you will still struggle to make money online if you don't have a good strategy to back up that work ethic. And there are so many ways for you to get this strategy. You can absolutely go online on YouTube, on my podcast, on free classes, webinars. You can try to grab as much as possible and use that. Or you can use a roadmap or a framework for someone who's already been there, done that, and has had success. Shameless plug here. I teach this framework inside of Insta Sales Academy because I have been doing this for years, you guys. Like I've perfected this method for multiple accounts. And the reason why I recommend having this framework is so that you can at least skip a couple of steps ahead. You will be so much further in your knowledge and in your implementation if you know where you're going, right? Like you can learn how to drive by yourself 100% by watching a YouTube video. But if you have an instructor who is doing that with you, or if you have a lesson plan to follow, you're much more likely to learn how to drive well and safe with that plan instead of learning by yourself. Both of these methods work. So there's no saying that one method is better than the other. However, you have to decide how urgent it is for you to make money and what is it going to take for you to get there in terms of your skill set. And unfortunately, if you're not ready to invest in paid ads, you have to be ready and willing to learn and improve your content creation game. And I know I'm beginning to sound a bit like Gary Vee here, but like he is for real. He's built multiple brands with millions of followers and has been correctly predicting a lot of internet trends for I don't know how many years. This is a reason why, because he has dialed down on his brand and on his content creation game. And once you understand the importance of that, especially if you do not have the budget to invest in paid ads, you're going to start seeing money come to you so quickly. Okay, so now we've gone through 3 key factors, which are each equally important, but let's talk about key factor number 4, which is so underrated. And this factor is your mindset and your limiting beliefs around making money. And this was something I didn't really fully understand or grasp until like 2 years ago, because I was in this mindset of just wanting to make enough in order to survive, just wanting to pay my bills. And that is totally fine, because I was coming from off of the background of having had a corporate job where I had a fixed paycheck, blah, blah, blah. So I was basically only imagining myself to make, let's say, $60,000 to $100,000 a year. And I thought that was going to be a great, way for me to kind of survive, which it is. And there's no shame in wanting to have that as your goal. But at some point, you also have to realize, are there ways or are there beliefs that you're holding on to that are sabotaging your progress, that are sabotaging your growth? And one of the beliefs that I've seen here is this refusal to invest in yourself, this refusal to commit to yourself. Because if you say that you are going to be a serious business owner and you're going to be making 6 figures a year, you have to start acting like that 6-figure business owner today. You cannot wait until you have the 6 figures reach your account, because you do not currently have the knowledge and the beliefs to actually make those 6 figures, or you would have done that already. So one of the things that had to change in my own mindset, and I covered this a lot in my podcast episodes, just scroll back and check out these podcast episodes. They're going to have mindset hacks and mindset practices, so you can check them out. But one of the beliefs that I had to rework around, shifting my identity to becoming the person that I was hoping to be, is to actually become the person today, right? So if I'm this person who's generating $5,000 a month, what knowledge and what skill set does this woman have that I need to get? What am I doing in order to improve my, limiting beliefs? What am I doing to change the way that I think? Am I trying to sabotage my own growth? Am I showing up in a way that I'm supposed to show up? So a lot of you guys will tell me that you want to make $5,000 or $10,000 a month, but if I ask you if you posted 100 reels, the answer will 99% of the times be no. So how do you expect to get the results when you're not willing to put in the work? A really helpful reminder here is that everyone you admire in this space, no matter whether they're a podcaster, blogger, influencer, digital entrepreneur, etc., they started at zero. The only exception here is if you were a celebrity from a different, industry, if you're Kim Kardashian or you're a famous athlete, sure, you come with an inbuilt following and then you can leverage that. However, 99% of us did not come from that background. And the only other exception here would be if you had prior experience in running a similar business, or you already had experience in sales or marketing, specifically social media marketing. Yes, that can give you a leg up, and yes, that can help you make money faster because you already have the skill set that is required to be, attracting an audience that is going to convert. So one thing to keep in mind here is that no matter how many strategies and, hacks and all of these things that you use, and no matter how much you hustle, you also have to work on your inner self and realize if there are ways that you're holding yourself back. How are you refusing to show up in your commitment when it comes to growing your business? How can you commit to yourself and take yourself seriously and commit to growing and learning so that you can see the results in the months and the years down the line? Building a business is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you have to train at regular intervals and feed yourself the fuel that you need in order to actually survive this game in the long run. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to give us a follow. And if you would like to learn more about how I'm building a profitable digital product business, I have a 100% free training that you can get started with. It's just 25 minutes of the step-by-step roadmap of how I went from zero to over $1 million with digital products. If you want to check that out, the link is going to be in the description box or in the show notes. Thank you so much.